Hey, Evolution continued tonight, and we didn't have to wait 7 years to get it. First 75 minutes of Monday Night Raw tonight was almost entirely women's segments. It was very interesting. It was almost like the first half of the show was just devoted to the women, and then we had this long gauntlet match coming up at the end. This was the post-Evolution episode of Monday Night Raw. This is the official start to the road to SummerSlam, which is only 3 weeks away. So one of the goals tonight was to begin to put together a card because you got 2 nights of SummerSlam this year. The card has to start taking shape, and it has. And one of the ways they did that was with a gauntlet match at the end of the show was our main event tonight. The winner would go on to SummerSlam, I presume night 1 in the main event, to challenge Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship, successful in his defense on Saturday night's main event against Goldberg, who is now officially retired. So who would be next for Gunther? We found out that it was going to be CM Punk, Jey Uso, Bron Breakker, LA Knight, and Penta. Those are the 5 names that were chosen to be in this gauntlet match here on this show. And yet Bron Breakker almost running the entire gauntlet. It came down to him and CM Punk, and they saved the return of Roman Reigns for tonight's show. There have been a lot of rumors lately that they would want to bring him back for the SummerSlam card. Why wouldn't they? I mean, you got 2 nights at a big stadium. There's no reason not to have Roman Reigns on that show. But in light of what went down with Seth Rollins the other night, and people wondering if maybe the idea was for Seth Rollins to wrestle Roman Reigns, and if the injury is legit, if the injury is serious, what happens then? Do they even bother bringing Roman back for this show? But Roman Reigns was going to be on the SummerSlam card one way or the other. And now we know what he will be doing, although it hasn't officially been announced. But CM Punk did win the gauntlet in spite of interference from Bronson Reed. Jey Uso took care of him. And CM Punk is going to SummerSlam to challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship. There's a beatdown after the match is over. Jey Uso is beaten down. CM Punk is beaten down. They're stacked up like pancakes. We're going to get a double tsunami splash. And then they hit the music, and out comes Roman Reigns. And the place, we're in Birmingham tonight in Alabama, and the place explodes. And Roman has his latest t-shirt, OTC1. I can't wait. Every time he makes a return, they could just add a new number to the end and sell new t-shirts every single time. I mean, if the rate things were going by next year, they'll be up to OTC3, OTC4. But he came out and everybody lost their minds, and he went after Bronson Reed. He went after Bron Breakker, helped Jey Uso up to his feet. And it was very clear based on the end of the show here that we are going to be getting a tag team match with Roman and his cousin against Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed. That is likely going to be the SummerSlam match. We also know now what the Intercontinental Championship match for the women is going to be at SummerSlam, because tonight we had a 2 out of 3 falls match involving Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. Lyra Valkyria is going to get Becky Lynch in the ring one-on-one one more time. And the Women's World Championship will also be decided in a triple threat match, just like it was at WrestleMania this year. They're just swapping out Bianca Belair for Naomi. So all of these key championship matches now, and that tag match I mentioned, which I'm sure will be made official very shortly, are clearly going to be the key matches on the SummerSlam card. Again, we're only 3 weeks away. And so if you look at, and I sketched out what the card looks like already, this is what the SummerSlam card as of tonight looks like. We have 6 matches that are official. So we know that the main event, the night 2 main event of SummerSlam, is going to be Cody Rhodes challenging John Cena, the King of the Ring challenging John Cena for the WWE Championship. We know now that CM Punk will challenge Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. So those are going to be your 2 big title matches. Roman Reigns is back. Very likely him and Jey Uso against Breakker and Reed. So that would be 3. Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, and Naomi. That makes 4. Tiffany Stratton is defending her WWE Women's title against Jade Cargill. Becky and Lyra, I mentioned. And oh yeah, by the way, Randy Orton and Jelly Roll will be in a tag team match of their own, taking on Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul. Apparently, Jelly Roll is guest hosting The Tonight Show. Or is it The Tonight Show or it's Jimmy Fallon? I think it might be Jimmy Fallon. I'm sorry, not Jimmy Fallon. The other one, Jimmy Kimmel. Is it Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel? Which show is he hosting? I think Jelly Roll is guest hosting one of those shows this week, and Randy Orton is going to be his guest. So it looks like they're going to be doing an angle like they did years ago for WCW on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno when they set up that celebrity tag match. They're going to be doing something similar. I'm sure they're going to shoot an angle to promote SummerSlam on the show this week. So when you ask yourself, why are we getting this match? That's why we're getting this match. Because they're going to milk it for all the promotion that they can get out of it. And it's going to be an attraction that they hope will bring eyeballs to the show that ordinarily wouldn't be watching the show. So yes, Jelly Roll will be in a match at SummerSlam as well. Jimmy Kimmel. Okay, I thought it was Kimmel. Too many Jimmys. Should let little Jimmy do it. So anyway, those are the matches that are official. Then you look at the matches that are not official but are likely. AJ Styles and Dominic Mysterio teased very heavily tonight. That will likely be happening on the SummerSlam card for the Intercontinental title. I would imagine we probably end up with a Jacob Fatu Solo Sikoa rematch for the United States Championship or something involving those, the bloodline, maybe Jimmy and Jacob. There'll be something involving those guys. Women's tag team titles should be defended on that show. I would imagine that's where Charlotte and Alexa end up. Sami Zayn and Karrion Kross is still being teased. It was teased again on the show tonight. So the card, you look at it, and that's a lot of matches. Now, of course, they have 2 nights. So the job is not yet done, and they have a few weeks left to flesh out the rest of the card. But you look, and all of the key matches seem to be accounted for. And it's a bummer because I'm almost positive that had he not gotten hurt, Chad Gable would have probably been in a mask versus mask match with Penta at SummerSlam. But Gable will not be on the SummerSlam card this year. Then again, though, there is someone under the mask playing El Grande Americano. So I suppose they could still do that match. I don't know that they're ready to do the big reveal yet. I don't think they want to give us the unmasking yet. At least not until Gable comes back. So we'll talk about Penta and what's been going on with him lately. But obviously the other story is Seth Rollins. And I was waiting to see if there was going to be some kind of an update on Seth Rollins tonight. There was a very brief segment in the back during the show where Paul Heyman was asked for a status update. And he didn't give us anything. And everything they were doing, it was very much in character. He didn't reveal anything. You didn't really learn anything new about Seth's status on the show. I was very intrigued by a report from John Pollock. John Pollock of Post Wrestling did a show, I think it was last night, I believe. And he indicated on the show that he was told by somebody in the know, a source, I presume with WWE, I believe on Thursday. So this would have been 2 days before Saturday night's main event, to keep an eye out because they're going to be doing an injury angle with Seth Rollins on Saturday night's main event. Now, John Pollock is not somebody who's going to pull shit out of his ass. So if he says that he spoke to somebody that he trusts who would be in the know, who gave him a heads up, oh, by the way, we're going to be doing an injury angle, or there may be an injury angle with Seth Rollins in 2 days on this show that hasn't happened yet. And then it just so happened that Seth Rollins got hurt on that show, then I think there's definitely smoke to the fire. So I am less convinced now than I was 24 hours ago that the Seth Rollins injury is 100% legitimate. I can't sit here and tell you that it isn't, but I also don't feel as confident that it is. It's just, I'm kind of 50-50 on it at this point. And honestly, watching what they did tonight, everything just seems very conveniently set up now, because you have CM Punk, who is going into, again, I presume the main event of night 1 of SummerSlam, to challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship. The same CM Punk that Seth Rollins has told us before, that you will not be a world champion. If I have to use every last breath in my body, I will fulfill this promise to make sure that you never hold world championship gold again. Now he's getting his shot. Rollins still has the Money in the Bank briefcase. They made no announcements about that. Paul Heyman was walking around with it all night. And it just feels very convenient that Punk could very well win this title. And then who should prevent that from happening? Who should screw him out of a world championship in the main event of SummerSlam but Seth Rollins? And actually, Pollock, I will give him credit. He made another good point, which is, you know, if you are Seth Rollins, you are forever linked and associated with the most, you know, epic Money in the Bank cash-in of all time that is still talked about to this day. First man ever to cash in at WrestleMania. How do you top that, right? Because now Rollins has the briefcase again. And if he just shows up, you know, normally and cashes in, it's like, yeah, you could do that. But you would almost feel like it would be very underwhelming because it's going to be compared to the first cash-in, right? So what can we do to make this cash-in different? Try to make it almost on equal footing with what he did back at WrestleMania 31. And that could be what they're thinking about here. If this is an elaborate work, and again, there are a lot of people who think that it is 100% legitimate. You know, Mike Johnson on PW Insider, again, earlier today said it is not a work. It is legitimate. And, you know, people need to stop talking about it as if it's a work. But I'm just not convinced. I think things are perfectly set up now for CM Punk to be fucked out of the World Heavyweight Championship. And the other aspect to it also is you got Punk and Gunther, you got Cena and Cody. I am convinced that Cody Rhodes is getting the belt back at SummerSlam. He's going to get his win back. He's going to beat John Cena. He's going to win back the WWE Championship. It would be too clean if CM Punk just goes in there and CM Punk wins the world title and Cody Rhodes wins the title. I don't see that happening. I don't see both of them being successful and walking out of SummerSlam with gold. Somebody is going to get fucked. And I don't think it's going to be Cody Rhodes because he already got fucked at WrestleMania. So did Punk, by the way. Got fucked over by Rollins. But I don't know. I'm just a lot less convinced now than I was 24 hours ago. I'm skeptical. I'm very skeptical. And also, think about this. Like, Roman Reigns is back now, right? And a lot of people probably figured, well, Roman will come back and they'll do Roman and Seth at SummerSlam. It's entirely possible the WWE isn't ready to do that match yet. You know, Seth has this brand new faction. He's got the Money in the Bank briefcase. Maybe they don't want to go right to Roman and Seth, and they want to save that match maybe for WrestleMania next year. They circle back around to it. Because if they do the match now, right, Rollins beat him at WrestleMania. So do you do Roman and Seth at SummerSlam and just have Seth beat him again, and then Roman goes off to make his movie? Or do you have Roman beat Seth? Like, that's a big enough match with so much history behind it that you could save that for WrestleMania in Vegas next year. And this would be their way around having to do anything with Roman and Seth for the time being. Roman could go off and work with Seth's guys, and Seth could go do what I just described. So anyway, we shall see. If it is an elaborate work, kudos to them, because they're treating it so far in such a way that, again, a lot of people are convinced it's 100% legitimate. I would love for it to be a work, because I think if Seth Rollins is seriously hurt and needs surgery, it fucking sucks. And again, it just blows up so many of their creative plans. Like, so many different people are impacted by that injury, if it is legit and it is really bad, that I don't want it to be. I would love it if this turned out to be a work, because otherwise it just screws up so many things, and it sucks for Seth, who just seems to always get hurt at just the wrong time. So I hope that's not the case. But this is your Raw Netflix review. We're going to talk about this entire show here for Monday night, July 14th, 2025. I am the Solomonster. Thank you guys for hanging out with me here on a Monday night after a very busy weekend. Lot of wrestling this weekend, and I hope you enjoyed all the content. We got more coming your way this week. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Super chats are open. You will see them popping up on your screen. We have a little goal going in the chat. Also, if you missed it, last night I was live with you guys talking WWE Evolution, which may well have been the best WWE show of the entire year. That was a fucking great show last night. and talked all about it. That great main event, Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, the Money in the Bank cash-in with Naomi. So if you missed it, go back and check that out. So we opened the show tonight. They had a recap of Saturday night's main event, all that happened there, all that happened at Evolution. We got a drone shot. I feel like they haven't done one of these in a while. We got a drone shot that started outside the arena, and we followed the drone into the arena, through the concourse, and into the building with all the fans. So then they opened with the brand new Women's World Champion and the newest member of the Raw roster, because she did win the title, which means she's automatically in the women's division on Raw now, Naomi. Proceed with caution. Naomi comes out. It looked like she was out there wearing a newspaper. I don't know what she was wearing. She looked like she was wearing a newspaper wrapped in caution tape with tassels. Like the caution tape was the yellow tassels that were hanging from her body. So she was showered with a "You deserve it" chant here from the crowd, and she was like, no. I don't think so. Said, I don't want to hear it now. You weren't feeling my glow, but you're with me now. She said everybody thought that she was going after the WWE Women's Championship, but they couldn't predict what her next move would be. She said that she was sick of the foolishness on SmackDown. She says she didn't betray Bianca Belair. She outgrew her and told her to take a good look at her now. She says she might be new on Raw, but the women in the locker room, she has a message for them. Proceed with caution. So Rhea Ripley made her entrance and joined Naomi in the ring. Ripley was not happy, clearly, about what went down on Sunday night. She had the championship won potentially and got screwed out of it by her Money in the Bank cash-in. So she said one thing Naomi should know about her is that she's not cautious. She says, I'm reckless and I'm pissed. So she said that she walked into Evolution to finally do two things: beat Io Sky, which she's never done before, and regain the World Heavyweight Championship. She blamed Naomi for not achieving those goals and congratulated her for joining her list. So Io Sky made her entrance. She was all smiles. She was all smiles and slapping hands with the fans here as she made her way to the ring after being screwed out of the World Heavyweight Championship the night before. She got a little more serious when she got into the ring and said that she would take her title back. Naomi told both of them to take their entitled asses to the back of the line. And all three women started bickering until they were interrupted by Adam Pearce. So he walked out on stage. He congratulated Naomi. He welcomed her to Monday Night Raw. He said that the match that Rhea and Io had at Evolution was absolute magic. It was a magical crowd for that match. So you had a great match and a great crowd to go along with it, because that crowd in Atlanta last night was fucking awesome. So he's not wrong when he says that. It's the same reason that, I would say the same thing about the John Cena CM Punk match and Money in the Bank in 2011. Not this one, but the Money in the Bank match they had in Chicago in 2011. There are just some times where you get two people who just work so well together. And when you have the right people in the crowd who are invested, or they're behind, like they were that night, one guy, the Chicago guy, and it just makes for a very special atmosphere. And that's what we had for that main event at Evolution last night. But he said SummerSlam is a 2-night event for the first time ever this year, so the attractions need to be bigger. The box office needs to be bigger. The magic needs to be bigger. So they need to blow the proverbial roof off of MetLife Stadium. I'm glad he said proverbial, because MetLife Stadium has no roof. He then booked a triple threat match for the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam with Naomi defending against Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. So basically it's WrestleMania all over again. They're just swapping out Bianca for Naomi. But that match at WrestleMania was one of the best matches all year. So I can't complain too much about that, because as great as that match was, if this match comes close to what we got at WrestleMania, it's going to be a great match. You could at least argue that both women deserve another shot, because, they got screwed. It might have been legal, but it was unfair. Rhea Ripley didn't really get beat. Io Sky got pinned, but not by somebody who was officially in the match. So as somebody who's been champion for many months, going back to even before WrestleMania, logically, she has a claim to wanting a rematch for that title. And I'm glad they're doing it for this reason also, because if they would have just done Rhea Ripley against Naomi, because Rhea did not take the pin in that match last night, they could have just had Rhea and Naomi one-on-one. But then Io Sky gets left off SummerSlam. And that would be completely shitty, because she is one of the very best they have on the entire show. And this at least gets her in a key match on the SummerSlam card. She's not going to win, but it gets her in a key match on that show. Her presence in the ring for that match automatically makes that a better match. So I'm glad they're going this route and doing the triple threat match. Naomi is on Raw now. With Liv Morgan out, she fills a spot that was left open by her absence, because Liv Morgan was arguably the top female heel on the show. So now Naomi takes her place, and Naomi can work as the top heel in the women's division. That heel turn has done her a world of good, by the way. You know, you see it when she comes out every week. Yeah, sometimes she's a little over the top with you know, the laughing or the way that she acts, but on the whole, I'll take this version of Naomi over the babyface version of Naomi that we had, 9 months ago, where she would come out, feel the glow, and it was like, it was a gimmick. It was a gimmick. It didn't feel like it was anything more than that, just very surface level stuff. Now she's a heel, talking about how she was overlooked, which really, it did feel that way for a long time, like she was overlooked for the bigger names on the show. And so she sort of channeled that into her heel turn here. And clearly it has done her a world of good instead of just coming out and being the glow girl on TV every week. So I'm happy for her. Achilles heel, thank you for the super chat. Thank you, brother. The Judgment Day met backstage in their clubhouse. Dominic said that he couldn't relax because AJ Styles was around stalking him. Finn Balor said he had nothing to worry about as long as he had his doctor's note. He'll be okay. Balor said, we got to show some love here to the ladies. And he put over Raquel and Roxanne for the weekend that they had. And, of course, they had a great match where they retained their titles at Evolution last night. Balor suggested that Dom accompany them to the ring for their match against the Kabuki Warriors tonight. But Dominic wasn't sure about that. And Balor said, Liv Morgan loved those titles, so why don't you do it for her? Everyone left. Balor was very happy with himself, and he stared at a photo that was taped up to the wall behind him, a photo of Liv Morgan, and he smiled as he said, "For Liv." Such a conniving little shit is Finn Balor. But he's all smiles because they have all the gold. They have the IC title, both sets of tag team titles. So he's riding high right now. And that led into Asuka and Kairi Sane against Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez. This was a non-title match. Asuka and Kairi, they entered ahead of the commercial break. Okay, so they came out first, and then they went to a commercial. And I see everything that happens during the commercial break, right? They fade out, they come back in, and they have a little countdown clock in the corner so you know how long is left until the commercial's over. And a lot of times during these breaks, they'll cut to Jackie Redmond or Byron Saxton up on the concourse somewhere, and they're doing an interview. They didn't do that. Instead, they cut back to the ring, and Asuka and Kairi, and really Asuka, was basically just dancing around for 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes until they came back. Like they're playing their music, and she just danced. And this is what they do for 2.5 minutes to kill time during the commercial until they come back. So anyway, like last night at Evolution, Asuka and Kairi, they were all over Roxanne until Raquel came in, swung the momentum back over to the Judgment Day. Asuka made a hot tag after another break. There was a spot where Asuka held Perez while Kairi went up top and came off with the insane elbow. And Kairi had Roxanne pinned, but Dom got up on the apron and distracted the referee until Raquel was able to break up the pin herself. So Asuka posted Rodriguez and then hit Perez with a missile dropkick and then a German suplex. Dominic again got back up on the apron, so Asuka gave him a pretty stiff-looking spinning back fist. Perez, though, used the distraction to schoolboy Asuka, rolled her up, as Roxanne used her boot to push her forward and give her that little bit of extra momentum. The referee didn't see it. And the Judgment Day picks up the win. This was a nothing match. It was non-title, and the challengers lost. And that's good. I mean, maybe not good for Asuka and Kairi, but it's good because my hope coming out of Evolution is that they didn't do the title change last night because they're setting up for something at SummerSlam. The match at SummerSlam should be the Judgment Day against Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. And I think you do a tag team title change on that show. I don't really want to see them do multi-person mayhem again. We've been getting too much of that lately. We need just a straight up 2-on-2 tag team match in the Kabuki Warriors. I like them, but it shouldn't be them. It shouldn't be the Dungeon Dolls or anybody else. It should be Charlotte and Alexa getting that match at SummerSlam. So the fact that the challengers lost here, I think pretty much takes them out of contention for the time being. And if you didn't see Evolution, you see why when you see the reaction that Charlotte and Alexa got when they came out in Atlanta last night. Now, Alexa Bliss always gets great reactions, but Charlotte Flair actually got chants of "We want Charlotte" as she was on the apron waiting to get the hot tag. The fans are buying in to what they're doing with these two. So they just need to keep riding that momentum and just keep, following up on that and then build to the match, whether it's SummerSlam or even if they hold off a little bit longer. But that is the direction that they should be going in. But keep doing what you're doing because it's working. It's working. Alexa Bliss is doing her part to help get Charlotte Flair over, which sounds weird because Charlotte Flair is the queen bee of the division. She's been around, on TV on the main roster now for 10 years. And so I'm not saying she's not over, but she hasn't been terribly popular when she comes out in front of these crowds. Working with Alexa in this not so friendship that they've had going is doing a lot to, I think, change people's opinions of her and look at her in a different way and just sort of appreciate this pairing for what it is. And I actually think they should do some more backstage segments with them. I don't think we get enough of that. But that should be the match at SummerSlam. So backstage, Jackie Redmond was with Paul Heyman, Bron Breakker, and Bronson Reed. And she asked Heyman for an update on Seth Rollins. And the big update that Heyman was able to give us...
Look at Richie Rich over here
on
dropping
Seth
all
Rollins.
this money on me. Hey, I just want you to know...
Right after this.
I think you rock. I don't mean The Rock, A Rock. You rock.
The Rock.
And I just wanted you to know that.
The Rock. Oh, that bald fraud. Who is this? It is that Elijah or Elijah? It's Elijah. Again, the names are still all fucked up. Thanks, YouTube. It's Elijah49 with a $100 super chat drop. Keep killing it, Solo. Thought tonight was a great show and a great weekend for wrestling. Can't wait for TNT. Been watching both of you guys since I was 14. I'm 25 now. Damn, does time fly by? Yeah, you're telling me. Holy shit. Thank you, my friend. That is very generous of you. Love seeing those red bombs. Thank you for sticking with me. It was a very busy weekend, but we got a lot of great wrestling. So, can't really complain about that. So the update that we got from Heyman here on Rollins was not much of one. All that he would offer is that he didn't have any information, but he reminded her that Seth Rollins has until next June to cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase. Then he said that it was Bron Breakker's night to run through everyone in the gauntlet, punch his ticket to SummerSlam, and he would go on to beat Gunther to win the World Heavyweight Championship, which, I mean, that was never going to happen. But it's his job to convince you that, Bron Breakker was actually going to win the gauntlet and we were going to get heel against heel. I know they don't want to talk about this, but I believe the very last match that Gunther ever had in NXT, and he might have still been Walter at that point, but it was against Bron Breakker and he lost. Bron Breakker was one of the few people, is one of the few people to have pinned Gunther and beaten Gunther. And it's still a pretty short list. I mean, you've got Cody Rhodes is on that list. Jey Uso is on that list. Sami Zayn is on that list. Main roster-wise, I mean, who else? Am I missing anybody? right? I mean, I think that's about it. So there is history there between them, but they don't like to acknowledge a lot of that NXT stuff. Next up, more ladies. We had Bayley against Lyra Valkyria, best 2 out of 3 falls. The winner of this match would go on to challenge Becky Lynch at SummerSlam for the Intercontinental Championship. Lyra was interviewed first, though, in the back before the match by Jackie, and didn't get much out until Bayley interrupted. Said the loser tonight would go to the back of the line, so she needed this win. Valkyria said that Bayley was being all about herself, and hey, that's cool. Bayley said what's best for Lyra is to stay out of her way. And she pushed her aside and made her way out to the ring. So then we had the match. Lyra got the better of a very early exchange and then dismissively patted Bayley on the head. Bayley slapped her and rolled her up for the first pin in less than 90 seconds. And we see WWE do this a lot. When they do these 2 out of 3 falls matches, that first fall is over in the first 2 minutes of the match. And I've grown to really hate when they do that. It just kind of defeats the entire purpose of even doing this match. I don't know. They rely on that too often, where it's like, you know what? Why not change it up and actually have the first fall not go, to someone until 12 minutes in, just to change things up a little bit. So yes, blink and you missed it. Already Bayley has the first fall here in this match. After a break, Valkyria got sent hard into the turnbuckle, and Bayley noticed that she might be hurt. And she hesitated at first, but then she targeted the back, went to work. Bayley hit a back suplex onto the apron, followed by a spinning back suplex in the ring for a 2 count. Bayley tried a La Magistral cradle, but Valkyria caught her in a roll-up for a pin to tie it up at 1 fall apiece. At least this one, they waited until about 10 minutes into the match. So Bayley responded very quickly after this fall with a running knee strike, and that took us into another commercial break. The crowd was very quiet for a lot of this. They weren't really reacting in the first half until Bayley caught Lyra coming off the ropes. She was coming off the ropes with a diving leg drop, and she got caught into a belly-to-Bayley suplex. And Bayley covered her. It was a very close near fall. That woke him up. And really from that point on, they really got into this match and into the near falls. Valkyria hit a gut-wrench sit-out powerbomb for a near fall. She followed with a fisherman suplex on the apron. 2 of them found their way outside the ring. Bayley gave Lyra a sunset flip powerbomb and sent her back first into the steel ring steps. Bayley shoved her back into the ring, hit a flying elbow drop onto Valkyria's injured back. Bayley, though, wasted no time. She immediately transitioned after she kicked out into a crossface. So she got the crossface applied. Valkyria is crawling and inching her way towards the ropes, and she's almost there. She's almost there. Bayley takes her foot and pushes off the bottom rope to roll over. But what happens is Lyra rolls through and then gets Bayley on her shoulders and immediately drops her on her head for her Nightwing finish. And she pins Bayley to win this best 2 out of 3 falls match. She will go to SummerSlam to get her rematch for the Intercontinental title. This was a great finish to what ended up being a very good match. They picked up basically where they left off at Evolution, because Bayley and Becky and Lyra, they fucking killed it last night. I mean, the opener and the closer of last night's show. I don't know that you're going to find too many major shows, PLEs, pay-per-views, whatever. You're not going to find very many of them that open and close as strongly as that Evolution show did last night. It really was one of the best shows of the entire year. And I know a lot of the talk is going to be focused on Naomi cashing in. A lot of it's going to be about Rhea and Io, and that was the match of the night. But it needs to be said that when that show opened, it was Becky and Bayley and Lyra who actually went out there and had a pretty fucking great match. And that should not be forgotten. So they picked up where they left off here, and the crowd got into it really in a way that they didn't when these two wrestled on Raw a few weeks ago. Remember, we got that match with Bayley and Lyra, and they did the double pin finish. Fans really didn't react in a way that, you would hope they would, but that was not the case here. So Becky Lynch, her music hits. She marches down to the ring. and she holds up her title as she went face-to-face with Lyra. So the rematch is official. The first two matches were awesome. Second match was even better than the first. I have no doubt they're going to go out there, big stadium show, and they're going to just show out. And this is where Lyra Valkyria regains the Intercontinental title. Because you cannot tell me that when Becky came back, the idea in her mind was not, okay, I'm going to work with Lyra, and I'm going to try to elevate Lyra to a level that she is not currently on. I'm going to try to get this woman over at a higher level than she's at, because I know what she can do. And I think that just the Irish connection. There's probably always been a kinship there between them. But it even goes back to NXT, because they wrestled, even before they met on the main roster for the first time. So I think that was Becky's goal, when she came back, and it all leads to SummerSlam. If she just goes in there and beats her again, what was the point of all of this? Becky doesn't need it. Becky doesn't need any of this. The goal should have been to elevate Lyra and in the process elevate the Intercontinental title. Do what they have done a very poor job of doing with the US title on SmackDown. They've done a much better job with the IC title on Raw. But the payoff here has to be Lyra finally getting that win over Becky. And so when she does, you can look at her and go, okay, you know what? She's in a better spot now than she was 5 months ago, 4 months ago, when all of this started. So that's the right match to do. It might leave Bayley in the wilderness. I don't know what Bayley does at SummerSlam, but this is not about Bayley. It's not even about Becky. It's about Lyra. It's about trying to make a new star. Now, Jackie was backstage to speak with Stephanie Vicaire coming off of her Battle Royal win at Evolution last night. She says she came to WWE to be a champion, and after Clash in Paris, because she's guaranteed a World Heavyweight Championship match, she said that she will be. Chelsea Green and her secret Hervis interrupted. Green thought that she would represent them better in Paris than Stephanie. And Vicaire dared her to take a shot. And then Chelsea hid behind Piper Niven and Alba Fire and said that, I'm busy with a Hall of Famer tonight. So then we got a pre-taped promo with Karrion Kross and Scarlett. Kross accused Sami Zayn of ducking him, didn't think that he was actually injured. Kross told Sami to stay home until you are ready to tell the world that Kross told the truth. I guess it all boils down to how long do they want to keep Sami Zayn out for? SummerSlam is 2 nights, and these guys have been going back and forth now on TV for months. I would imagine they want to do the match at SummerSlam, unless they want to save it for Paris for some reason, but this almost has to be a SummerSlam match, I would think. I actually think if you don't have Kross on that SummerSlam card in New Jersey, you're out of your fucking mind. So they better be doing that match at SummerSlam. Again, we've already got we have up to 10 matches now that are pretty clear cut. 6 of them are official, 4 of them are very likely. But you've got 2 nights. So you need at least another 4. Maybe 5. No reason that Sami Zayn and Karrion Kross can't get on this show. So after that women's segment, it was on to yet another one. I said the first 75 minutes of this show was almost entirely women's segments. Here, it was Nikki Bella. You thought it was a one-shot. Nope. Nikki Bella was back. I think they said this was her first match on Raw. How many years? A lot of years. I don't know how many years it was, but it's been a while. So it'll be Nikki Bella here going one-on-one. Oh, I think it was 7 years. I think they said 7 years. One-on-one with Chelsea Green. So let me just point this out, okay? They announced coming into this show tonight that there was a gauntlet match, and the winner would wrestle Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship, the Raw title, at SummerSlam. And they put LA Knight, a SmackDown star, in the gauntlet. Here, Chelsea Green and the Secret Hervis, they're all on the SmackDown roster. Nobody says a word. There's not one word said about Nick Aldis is doing Adam Pearce a solid and loaning the Secret Hervis for reasons I don't even know what those reasons would be. They just show up. It's as if they're just members of Raw now. So I wonder if they were all just quietly moved to Raw without any fanfare, or if it's just brand split. I don't know. LA Knight should be on Raw anyway, so fine with me. But I saw Chelsea is just casually announced for a match with Nikki Bella. I go, why? I don't know. They never addressed it. So maybe all three of them are on Raw now. I wonder who SmackDown's going to get. I wonder if that means we're going to get Sol Ruca more permanently on SmackDown. She was on SmackDown last Friday. I could see Sol Ruca and maybe Jordan Grace when that feud with Blake Monroe plays itself out. Both of those ladies making their way over to the SmackDown side. Maybe they're clearing the way for some NXT faces to make their way up. That's the brand split for you, says Roderick. What brand split? What are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about. This is why even the concept of a draft is so funny to me. When people say, oh, they have to do a draft. Like, no, they don't. They don't. Because this is what's going to happen anyway. So why do you need a draft? Nobody has given me a legitimate reason why we need a draft. Because you can't. There's no good reason for it if they continue to operate it in this way. And it doesn't make me angry anymore. I just laugh at it because it's just so silly to me. So Nikki Bella here. Okay, let's talk about Nikki Bella. Nikki Bella was all over Chelsea. So Chelsea bailed outside and was hiding behind Piper and Alba. When they got back to the ring, Nikki went to the ropes. Chelsea kicked her leg, hit a backstabber to take over. Nikki came back with some clotheslines and a springboard kick for a 2 count. Chelsea followed with a neck breaker and then went for an unprettier. But instead, Nikki hit, I guess what they call a Bella Buster, which is an X Factor. Piper Niven distracted the referee. Alba tried to attack Nikki. Nikki posted her. And this led to the finish. And this finish was quite a struggle. It was quite a struggle for poor Nikki Bella here. So she's attempting to go for her finish, or what I assume is going to be her finish. And it's a very long, drawn-out attempt at trying to hoist Chelsea up on her shoulders. And I don't know who is at fault here. I don't know if there were just mixed messages here or their wires got crossed and one didn't know what the other was trying to do. It's not as if Chelsea Green is, the largest person in the women's division. She's not big. She's not tall like, Raquel or someone. I don't know why Nikki Bella would have too much difficulty getting Chelsea Green up on her shoulders, but that's what the announcers started to try to explain. Like, oh, she's trying to get her up. And finally, she gets her up and delivers the Rack Attack 2.0, which is basically just a cutter. It's a TKO. And even that looked a little rough. So then she covered her and she got the pin. Piper and Alba, they attacked Nikki when the match was over, but Stephanie Vicaire ran out to make the save. She cleared the ring and she posed with Nikki Bella. Yikes. Not good. This was not good. The finish was no good. The match itself wasn't really anything to rave about either. This was definitely, without question, the weakest part of the entire show. And I don't really have anything else to say about this. I mean, I think the less said about this, the better. I think we should just move on. That's what I think. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move on to this next backstage segment here, which had the New Day still dressed in all black, still mourning their tag team championship loss from a few weeks ago. I mean, it's been a few weeks already. I mean, one can't grieve forever.
I am the Lord.
Shut the fuck up.
Although now I have the feeling that I must grieve because the learning tree is here.
Fuck that tree.
I am now in mourning. Jeremy Rose, thank you for the $12 learning tree. Where's my my black tie? I'll have to put that on here. I mourn every time I see the learning tree. Kitten Puke just subscribe. What a name. Kitten Puke, welcome to the channel. You know, that's not fun to clean that up. I've had to do that before. Especially if you have carpet. Oh, that's really fun. Especially when it's all like loose and moist. All right, let's move on. Anyway, how do I follow that up? So the New Day's in the back. Again, they're still grieving their tag team title loss. And they had a gift for Adam Pearce, which was presented not by the New Day, but it was presented by their friend that they've been hanging out with every single week in the back, Grayson Waller. I have no idea where Austin Theory is. He's around. I think there was WWE has this thing where they have like the top 25 talent Instagram photos of the week. He's posting gym selfies and stuff. I don't know why he's not hanging out with these guys. Doesn't really make any sense to me, but Maddie, you know what? That's a good point. I think Kitten Puke would make a great like band name, like an alternative rock band or something. Right? Wouldn't that make a good band name? Kitten Puke? Could be onto something here. Look at this. He just joined. He's already become the biggest star here on the channel. The gift that they had for Adam Pearce, which they literally presented to him on a silver platter, was a wig. Because you see, he's bald. You bald. So they want him to put the wig on his bald head. Kofi figured this is enough of a gift here to earn themselves a title rematch. Pearce said that they don't just get a rematch, but they would have a chance to earn one next week. And he told them not to flip their wig. And he flipped the plate over. So Pearce left because he spotted the Judgment Day nearby. So he went over to talk to them. And in particular, he was looking for Dominic Mysterio here. Because he said that he didn't really buy Dom's injury excuse after seeing him get involved earlier in the women's tag team match. So he spoke to WWE Medical. And they're going to be reevaluating him next week. And he looked like he had the fear of God put into him when he heard this. And he said, if they clear him, then what he's going to do is make it very clear to Dom that he is going to have to defend his Intercontinental title at SummerSlam against AJ Styles. So Dom turned and he spotted AJ nearby. And AJ was literally on his knees, looking up, talking to the heavens. He was talking to God. He was talking to God above. He was praying, I guess, that Dom gets cleared next week. So Dom didn't like this, so he started pleading with God as well. And actually, the way that they did this, it was actually pretty funny. So we're getting AJ Styles and Dominic Mysterio at SummerSlam for the Intercontinental Championship. Great. Give AJ Styles a SummerSlam match. I love it. Rusev was interviewed by Jackie Redmond in the back about beating Sheamus on Raw a few weeks ago. Rusev said that people call him God. Boy, we're getting a lot of God references here. Yeah, I hear Vince McMahon, teamed up with him once. Rusev said people call him God, but maybe he's just a saint killing off Irish snakes. Sheamus showed up, said that he wasn't there to ambush Rusev. He said that he spoke with Adam Pearce, who agreed that Rusev was a dirty, cheating bastard. So he issued a rematch, and Rusev said that he was here to dominate gold, not gingers. And he left. They didn't say when the match was going to be, though. I don't know if that's going to be a SummerSlam match. I mean, like a mid-card match like this, they'll probably just save it for TV. They should add it to SummerSlam, though. I don't know. I don't know when they're planning on doing it, though. So now it was time to hear from our esteemed World Heavyweight Champion, Gunther. He made his way down to the ring, and he was in a fine mood because, of course, as he pointed out here, he successfully retained his championship on Saturday night's main event, and he retired Bill Goldberg. This got a mixed reaction from the crowd. Fans began to chant for Goldberg. Said that the fans were not very bright hearing Birmingham because Goldberg obviously wasn't there. I mean, it's wrestling fans. I mean, it could go either way here. So Gunther said he fulfilled every promise that he made. He bullied, humiliated, blew up, and choked out Goldberg. And he ended his myth. And there was only one question left. Who's next? He knew the answer would come soon, and he's going to go watch this upcoming gauntlet match from up in one of the suites to find out who his challenger is going to be for SummerSlam. He didn't care who it was, and he was about to say something else, but before he could finish his thought, he was interrupted by Bron Breakker and Paul Heyman, who made their way down to the ring. So Heyman gets into the ring, and Heyman goes to shake his hand, puts his hand out, and Gunther shakes his hand. And then Paul began to introduce himself. Ladies and gentlemen, and Gunther cuts him off. He interrupts his introduction. He says, I'm very aware of what your name is. Said that he made his point, and he wasn't interested in what Heyman had to say, so he was going to leave. And he went to go leave until Bron Breakker stepped in his way. So Heyman told Gunther to stick around because what I have to say applies to you. Heyman said that Bron Breakker would win the gauntlet match and then go to SummerSlam to beat Gunther. He said he knows that is no easy task. Heyman said that he saw what Gunther did to Goldberg, but he added that Gunther hasn't been speared until he's been speared by Bron Breakker. And then the key line came. Heyman said, Bron Breakker is the next big thing. Bron Breakker is the big dog. And this is his yard. And I thought, his yard, you say? Gee, I wonder what that could be foreshadowing. Heyman said Breakker would break through the glass ceiling and he would break Gunther's ass at SummerSlam. That sounds like something that you would say to somebody on their first day in the penitentiary. But he said he was going to break his ass at SummerSlam. Only $10 on Peacock. He said Breakker would become a long-term world heavyweight champion at SummerSlam, and then Breakker finally stepped aside, and he allowed Gunther to exit the ring. And they closed the show with the gauntlet match for the title shot. So Bron Breakker was opening the gauntlet, so he stayed out there. But this was Bron Breakker, CM Punk, LA Knight, Jey Uso, and Penta. Match started around, I think it was 9:45 when the match started. Breakker was already out there, and Penta was number 2. So those are the two men that started. Breakker had control through the commercial break. Crowd was getting a little restless until Penta started to finally make a comeback. They showed Gunther sitting up in his suite. He looked rather bored. Penta tried a springboard move, and when he did, Bron Breakker speared him out of midair. Always gets a reaction because it just looks so vicious. So it got a huge reaction. Breakker covered him and pinned him, and this lasted, their match, I would say, lasted around 8 minutes or so. We are getting very close to the point where we may have to soon have a conversation about Penta. Now, I will point out to you that this was the 3rd week in a row that Penta was in the main event of Monday Night Raw. That's great. That's a great thing, and that's a great spot for him to be in. Of course, he didn't win any of them, but that's 3 weeks in a row where he was featured in the main event of this show. But he has also lost his last 6 matches. 6. Last time he won a match was over a month ago. It was about 5 weeks ago. Because he had a tag match with Andrade on SmackDown. So not even on Raw. It's been a while since he's won a match. That has to change soon. People still love Penta. They still think he's cool and the mask is cool and he's doing fine. But there is a point where when you are losing so many matches and you're the as I used to call Bray Wyatt, the eater of pins, right? You don't want people to start to look at you a little bit differently. So we're not there yet, but if he continues to lose like this, then we're going to have a problem here because that's not going to be good for Penta. And I think it also speaks to where they may see him, where they think, okay, he's got the cool entrance and maybe he sells a lot of merch. People like him, so we can use him to help elevate other people. We can use him in other people's stories. He's just a guy that we can plug in there. What they need to do is get him a more focused story. And I'll give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt only because I really, truly do believe that had Chad Gable not gotten hurt, Penta would have had that story waiting for him for SummerSlam. And they were going to do a mask versus mask match with him and El Grande Americano. I'm almost certain that was the plan. Plans changed because Chad Gable got hurt. And now it's like, well, we don't really have anything for Penta to do. I hope he makes it onto the SummerSlam card because to have 2 nights and not even get him a match would be fucking terrible. But assuming his story got screwed up by the injury, I can understand that. But hopefully soon they really get something going for him. And it's even worse with Rey Fenix on SmackDown. So if this was to continue, I think the best thing to do, honestly, would be to get the Lucha Brothers back together. If they are not going to come up with something for each of these guys to do, something meaningful for them to do, then the best thing to do is to get them together. The problem is they've been tagging Rey Fenix with Andrade the last few weeks. So, I mean, I guess that's, as far as Phoenix goes, I guess that's the answer. They just stuck him in a tag team with somebody else, which is just very weird to me because if you were just going to put him in a tag team, then just put the fucking Lucha Brothers back together. No, we're going to take Rey Fenix and we'll put him with Andrade. It's just weird. So hopefully he'll start winning some matches because I don't like where this is going. LA Knight was out next at number 3. First time we saw Bron Breakker ever on NXT. Do you remember when this was? This was when Triple H went away. He had his health issue. And Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard, they took NXT and like the old Roadrunner and Coyote cartoons with the dynamite that they blow up, they blew up NXT. And they threw paint splatter all over the walls and they reimagined NXT. We got NXT 2.0. And Bron Breakker showed up at the very end of an episode of NXT, interrupting a segment with LA Knight. So the very first time we laid eyes on Bron Breakker was in a segment with LA Knight, and then his very first match, I think, was the following week against LA Knight. So there's history going back with these two to the NXT days. We're going back like 4 years ago between these two. So Bron drops LA Knight. Knight, though, hits a neck breaker. He comes back with that. Knight and Breakker, they go to the floor, and Knight sends Breakker into the ring post. Breakker, though, comes back and gorilla presses him. Knight slips out. And Breakker got sent over the top rope. Knight kicked Bron into the not over the table, but into the announce table. And he's ramming Breakker's head against the table over and over again. Breakker fights back, sends Knight ribs first into the side of the desk. So we come back from commercial. Both men clothesline each other. And we get a double down. Yes, Nickelodeon NXT. It's exactly what it was. All the bright colors. Everything was all lit up like a fucking doctor's office. Get those fluorescent lights. Everything was so bright. I'm surprised they weren't sliming people like it was Nickelodeon. So Knight came back with a neck breaker at a DDT. He did his double jump elbow from the top rope, only for a 2 count. Breakker, though, came back. He went for a Frankensteiner. Not off the top. This was just in the ring. They were going back and forth. Knight caught him, though, and dropped him with a powerbomb. Knight goes for the BFT, and Breakker rakes the eyes, hits a gutbuster. And then he hits the spear. That was all she wrote for LA Knight once he connected on the spear. Now we were about 20 minutes, like 20-ish, into this gauntlet. So Penta's gone, LA Knight is gone. Jey Uso is next. And he comes down. He comes down from the aisle, not from the crowd. And he sends Bron outside the ring. He follows through with a tope suicida. He gets back in the ring, and he looks into the hard cam. And you know what he does? And he gets him to cue up his music again. We get an encore. In the middle of the gauntlet, there is a world championship match at SummerSlam at stake here. You have Bron Breakker, the unbeatable badass, down on the ground outside. You want to run it back. So they play his music so he can hit the ropes and he can yeet with the crowd. Like, my jaw dropped. I'm watching this. So he's yeeting along with the crowd. Then they go to commercial. And again, you may not have seen this, but they go to commercial, and what does he do? He looks in the hard cam again. He gives him the sign again because we're at commercial. So they cue up his music for a third time. And again, he hits the ropes and he does yeet. Braun Breaker is laying on the outside recovering, and Jey Uso is on the ropes yeeting up and down. This fucking guy. He should never even sniff the World Heavyweight Championship again for the rest of his career. Never. Never again. So a little bit later, Breaker caught him off the top with what they are now calling the Breakensteiner. Guess he gave it his own little spin on it now. Jey came back with a spear and got a very close near fall out of it. That got the crowd. He headed up top for an Uso splash when Bronson Reed showed up on the apron, and he pulled Jey down onto the top rope, and Breaker followed with a spear, and he pinned Jey Uso to eliminate him from the gauntlet. Only now, at this point during the gauntlet match, did Michael Cole alert us that there were no disqualifications. Now, they didn't explain why there were no disqualifications. Are all of their gauntlet matches no disqualification? I don't recall all their gauntlet matches being no disqualification before. As the match progressed, it became more clear why it was no disqualification, because they wanted Bronson Reed out there to set up what was coming at the end of the match. That's literally the only reason that this gauntlet was made no DQ. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. This is not a triple threat match. This is not a fatal five-way. It's a regular match. You're just having 5 of them. But they made it no DQ. So until Michael Cole said something, like, I'm watching this, and the referee is literally standing there, and he watches Bronson Reed get involved. And I'm like, hello? Paul Heyman's out there. He could at least distract the referee. Nope. Heyman just sitting over there by the announce desk with the briefcase, just chilling. But they needed a reason to allow Bronson Reed to stay out there to set up the big payoff at the very end. CM Punk was the last to enter the gauntlet because he's the old man here. He's not as young as he used to be. So we don't want him. We don't want him starting the gauntlet. We need him at the very end of the gauntlet. So it's going to be either CM Punk or Bron Breakker going to SummerSlam to challenge for the championship. Gee, I wonder which one of these two it is going to be. Maybe they'll leave CM Punk off the SummerSlam card this year. Yeah. So they went to a break. Punk was having his way with him. So Breakker regrouped outside with Bronson Reed over by the announce desk. Punk ran outside. He tackled Breakker into the desk, not over it, but again, into it. They came back from break. Punk had him back in the ring. Breakker, though, did take over, and he was mocking Punk at one point. He was looking at his imaginary wristwatch, and he was asking Stu, the cameraman, is it clobbering time, Stu? Is it clobbering time? He told Punk, you're not going to win. So, of course, Punk made a comeback. Running knee in the corner, short arm clothesline. Then he goes up top for the elbow, but Bronson Reed jumps up on the apron. He's going to try to stop him. Punk knocks him off to the floor. He delivers the Randy Savage elbow. Breakker kicks out. Punk, though, quickly transitions into an Anaconda Vice until Bronson Reed gets in the ring and he drops an elbow on Punk to break the hold. So again, you want to know why it was no disqualification? This is why it was no disqualification. Now, somebody in the chat makes a very good point, which is that if this was no disqualification, then why would nobody, especially the heel in Bron Breakker at some point, go grab a fucking chair? Why wouldn't Paul Heyman slide the Money in the Bank briefcase into the ring and let Bron Breakker whack somebody in the head with it? I guess he wanted a fair fight, but then Bronson Reed got involved. I don't know. You're looking for logic in a very illogical situation. You're looking for logic where none exists. That's the problem. Jey Uso's music hits. This is what, the fucking 5th time now that his music is played? He comes back down to the ring. He's selling his bad ribs from earlier. He knocks Bronson Reed out of the ring. Then he hits him with a suicide dive. Bron Breakker goes to spear CM Punk. Punk, though, intercepts it and drops him with a go to sleep and covers him for the 1, 2, 3. CM Punk wins the gauntlet. CM Punk is going to SummerSlam to challenge Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. The last time CM Punk wrestled at MetLife Stadium, he lost to The Undertaker at WrestleMania 29, which happened to be the best match on that entire show. So now he gets to go back, and this time he's getting the championship match that he should have gotten at MetLife that year, but did not. So Punk is posing on the ropes, and he points up at Gunther, who's up in the suite. Gunther stands up. He holds up the World Heavyweight Championship. But then Bronson Reed attacks CM Punk yet again. Uso tried to help. He got speared for his troubles. And then so did CM Punk. So Bronson Reed, he stacks Jey Uso on top of CM Punk. And he is going to head up top for a double tsunami splash. When we hear the music of one Roman Reigns, we have not seen Roman Reigns since WrestleMania. But this place explodes here in Birmingham because they love their stars and they love Roman Reigns, who's one of the biggest stars in the entire company. So out he comes, and shout out to WrestleVotes because they were the first to mention it. They were like, hey, some new merch ideas have been discussed for Roman, including OTC 1. OTC and the number 1. All right. We'll see. Well, now it's confirmed. Got OTC 1 on his t-shirt. Brand new merch. I'm sure it's already up on WWE Shop. So he walks down to the ring and he slides in. He ducks a clothesline from Braun Breaker. He knocks Bronson Reed off the apron with a Superman punch. Double legs breaker, starts raining blows, no pun intended, raining blows down upon this man. Bronson Reed gets back into the ring, and he pulls Roman off of Braun Breaker. Roman lifts Bronson Reed slowly up on his shoulders and holds him there, and then drops him with a Samoan drop. So Roman walks over to Jey Uso. And actually, even before he goes over to Jey Uso, he delivers a Superman punch to Braun Breaker and then a spear to Bronson Reed. Then he walks over to Jey Uso and he helps him to his feet. Roman then looks down at CM Punk. Punk is sitting there on the mat. He's looking up at Roman with a look like, now what? And Punk gets to his feet. They're staring at each other. Roman is staring back at Heyman and his crew in the aisleway. The fans now break out into song, and they begin to sing Roman Reigns' name. Row, row, Roman Reigns. And they sing over and over and over again. See, I blame all you Europeans for this. This is all your fault. This all goes back to that tour back in March. And you know, they're going back to Europe next month for a bunch of shows. I think they're there for like 2 weeks. This is in the lead up to Clash in Paris. So we're going to be getting more songs. I don't know where all the places are going, though. They're going to be, I know they're going to be in France. What are the other places that they're going to be next month? I don't know. Somebody look it up and let me know. Let me know all the different cities that they're going to be in next month. But that's how we went off the air. Everybody was in a very celebratory mood. The tribal chief is back, or whatever his nickname is this time, the original tribal chief, the head of the table, the big dog. He has had a lot of nicknames over the years. The ladies held things down nicely early in the show. Really, it was Bayley and Lyra. That really is what held down the fort, I would say, in that first half of the show. The tag match and the Nikki Bella match were... I mean, the tag match was nothing special. The Nikki Bella match was just bad. So that really wasn't anything great. But the gauntlet match was a good way to wrap things up and kill time. Because the gauntlet went between 35 and 40 minutes. It was probably 40-ish minutes. Anytime they do a gauntlet match, it's a good way to eat up TV time. So it accomplished that. We got the payoff at the end with the Roman Reigns return. And in a very short period of time, the key matches for SummerSlam have all come together. Which they should, because we're only 3 weeks out from the show. It is 2 nights this year. They still have some work to do. But just to go back to Seth Rollins and what I said at the beginning, I am much more skeptical now about his injury status than I was 24 hours ago. 24 hours ago, I was of the mind that, okay, this is a shoot, and it's just terrible timing, and it's just a disaster. this close to SummerSlam, but also just him in the position that he's in right now, leading the top heel faction in the company. And he's got the Money in the Bank briefcase. And you knew Roman was going to be coming back, right? I mean, there's never a good time to get hurt, but like this is like the worst possible time that he could go down with a major injury. But after, the John Pollock update, I know Meltzer said something similar. Obviously, Meltzer is very hit or miss when it comes to news lately. But someone like Pollock, I trust, and I trust that he's not just making that up. If somebody told him to keep an eye out for an injury angle with Seth Rollins, and then Seth Rollins happens to get hurt 2 nights later, what does that tell you? So something is going on here. And I am no longer convinced that it is a legitimate injury, especially now that CM Punk is going to the main event against Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. Very, very convenient. It is a very convenient spot for Seth Rollins to shock the world who thought he was hurt, and then he shows up and reveals that he's not. And in doing so, he either takes the title from Punk after he wins it, or he cashes in to make it a triple threat and prevents CM Punk from winning that World Heavyweight Championship. Now, we just had a cash in last night where Naomi cashed in and turned it into a triple threat. So do you want to do another one where it turns into a triple threat? I don't know. But if he wants to fulfill his promise that Punk will never be a world champion, he has to. He can't let Punk win the title first and then cash in, right? He would have to cash in when Punk is on the verge of winning the championship. And I think that is still a very good chance that may happen. But Roman and Jey Uso against Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed appears to be the direction. I would have found a singles match far more compelling between Roman and Breakker, but then Bronson Reed gets left out of the equation. Jey Uso gets left out. He's still very popular. So this at least gets, all 4 of them into a match. And honestly, a match like that, it could go either way. Roman, I don't think Roman is sticking around. I think it may legitimately be Roman comes back for SummerSlam and Roman leaves because he's got to go film his roles next month in Australia for Street Fighter. And that may only take a few weeks. I don't know that Roman is like back for good this time. So for Roman to come back and just beat Breakker and beat Reed, what you can do? You could do a tag match, have Roman and Jey Uso win. But then when the match is over, they can lay a fucking beatdown on Roman Reigns and injure him. And that gives them a reason to get him off TV for a while. So they may lose the match, but if they're the ones responsible for injuring Roman Reigns and sending him out, putting him on the shelf for an indefinite period of time, that's a way they can get their heat back right away. So you could even do something like that. But as far as Seth Rollins goes, we'll see if any official updates come out this week. Triple H at the post-show press conference last night was saying that, he's going to be seeing Dr. Dugas in Birmingham for an update. So we'll see, because they were in Birmingham. Actually, very convenient. They were there for Raw tonight. So if he is legitimately hurt, then he would have gone in probably for an MRI today. And if that's the case, then I guess we'll know in the next 24 hours, 24 to 48 hours, what the injury is, how serious it is. I'm still skeptical, though. Especially after that Pollock report. It's just a little hard to swallow that he would hear something like that and then Seth would just so happen to get hurt. Can you imagine if like the idea was we're going to do an injury angle with Seth Rollins and then he actually got hurt? How shitty would that be? There's not a chance in hell that actually happened. But boy, that would be, you talk about jinxing it. That would be terrible. Again, I don't see CM Punk and Cody Rhodes both winning titles at SummerSlam. It's just too clean to me. One of them's going to have to go down. And I don't think it's going to be Cody Rhodes. And I don't think Gunther is just cleanly beating CM Punk. I don't. I mean, you could have him put him out in the sleeper hole. I don't see it being that clean cut. Let's take a look at the Twitter poll. See what you guys thought of Raw tonight. The Raw after Evolution. 92.6% thumbs up. 7.4% thumbs down. Wow. I guess you guys really enjoyed Raw tonight. It was a good show. It was a good show. It was not the best Raw of the year or anything like that, but it was a good show tonight. Good. Keep the momentum going. We had a good weekend of shows. That's what I like to see. Got to keep that momentum. Keep that same energy going. All right, let's go through your messages. We are at 426 likes, by the way, so we'll be doing Be the Booker. Congrats. Only the one round, but one round is better than none. All right, let's trace it back here to the man who came in number one. The man who entered number one is our friend Naked Dried Chicken. Says Naomi is looking like a real final boss as the new women's world champion. Naomi is the heel / villain / main antagonist that we need on Raw. I said she has taken Liv Morgan's spot. Liv went down with an injury. They plugged Naomi in there. It gets her away from Jade and Bianca. All of that drama. And it allows her to be in that top spot on a brand and carry the division on that brand. You know, she wouldn't have had that chance on SmackDown if, you know, Tiffany is either going to win at SummerSlam. They could have had her cash in on Jade and all that, but they clearly have other plans for that SmackDown women's division that do not involve her. Also, if WWE plays their cards right, this dried chicken here would pick Naomi to retain at SummerSlam. Let her drop the title at the Perth show. I mean, how are you going to have Naomi lose at SummerSlam? She can't lose. She has to win. She has to win. You can't have her cash in Money in the Bank and make it such a big moment like that and then take it away from her 3 weeks later. I mean, that's ridiculous. I don't see her losing until at least Perth. But that's assuming that she was wrestling Rhea on that show, and as it was pointed out to me, WWE may decide to do what they did last time, which is have champions wrestle champions on that show. Which means we could potentially be in store for another Naomi and Jade match if Jade beats Tiffany at SummerSlam. We got Brandon coming in with a $50 super chat. Thank you, Brandon. Prediction. Sami Zayn wins the Royal Rumble as you predicted, he says, but sells his soul to the final boss at WrestleMania in a match with Cody. Says, why? Sami's helped everyone. Jay, Kevin, Roman, Seth, Cody. And what did they get? Championships. What has he gotten? Nothing. What are your thoughts? I don't want The Rock involved. That's... What you're saying makes sense to me as far as the logic behind it. I don't want The Rock just to randomly pop up every year at WrestleMania just to stick his bald head in there and get involved in the main storyline. If he doesn't have time to commit to doing something more than that and really kind of fleshing that story out, then I don't want him involved. If you want him to make an appearance on the show, he's a big name, fine, let him show up and pose and hit somebody with a rock bottom, but I don't want another story built around The Rock. Like what happened this year really soured me on that. And I just don't have I don't have any interest in seeing him involved in that again. Dry Chicken says since Gunther retired Goldberg, he should also retire John Cena, Brock Lesnar, Chris Jericho, and he might as well add Randy Orton to become the new legend killer. Yeah, we're not going to see Brock Lesnar for a while, so wouldn't count on that. Hey, NWO Matt, thank you for the membership. GMB says men's casino most disappointing match of the weekend. No, it wasn't the most disappointing. It wasn't great, and the women's casino match wasn't great either. Most disappointing of the entire weekend, though. Now, I didn't see all the matches yet from the Great American Bash. I only saw the Ethan Page match with Ricky Saints, which was great. But there were other matches on that card on Saturday, especially if you include the pre-show, that I would probably slot underneath that one. Dry Chicken says Gunther can be the Grim Reaper knocking on the door meme. He should be. He's the real final boss. Death Scythe. Rhea is starting to give me 2007 Batista vibes. That year, Batista had 9 shots at the World Heavyweight Championship until he won it back at SummerSlam and make it Rhea's 4th shot. So she has some catching up to do. You know, if she had won the championship last night, there would have been so many people complaining on social media today. Another Rhea run. It's probably better for her that she didn't win the championship yet. But I feel like she gets shit from a lot of people no matter what. And I don't know. I don't understand it. I mean, I can understand it if you're of the mind that she's pushed so strongly and she needs to be made to look more you know, not what's the word I'm looking for? More vulnerable. But she hasn't been the champion in many, many months. You know, she lost the title before WrestleMania. They've kept that belt off of her. So it's not like she's sort of been booked in this unbeatable Super Cena kind of way. I'm not sure what else people really expect them to do with her. I mean, she's the biggest, one of the biggest stars in the entire company. She's always going to be in that top mix, whether you like it or not. That's where she belongs. But they let Io have a run. Now, Io's run was terrible. But that's just because they didn't do anything with her for most of her run. Her run fucking sucked. Outside of the WrestleMania match and then the match where she lost the title last night. Her actual run was just terribly disappointing. You know, but they kept the title away from Rhea for a while. I'm not really sure what people expect them to do. It's the biggest star in the division. Carlos Galvan, I guess Roman's OTC 1 update has finished loading. New firmware. Yeah. Can't wait for the patch. Linkmaster X Summerfest is upon us. The peak of every year. That's the Summerfest to you. You got to get it right. Uffman says the Summerslam. Aaron. If Seth is out long term, thoughts on a story with Sami Zayn against Cody Rhodes as a heel champion for WrestleMania 42 with Sami having to dethrone his former friend? Not really a fan. Just because I don't think Cody is going heel yet. I still don't think it's the right time for that. And I would rather see Sami up against... I mean, if Rollins is out of the question, even a Drew McIntyre, like, Sami still has not been able to beat Drew McIntyre. There's a story there. Let's get the belt on Drew McIntyre at some point. And maybe Sami could beat him. So not only does he win the championship, but he has to beat the one man he has not been able to beat if he wants to become World Heavyweight Champion. Why not tell that story? Holiday 197 Solo, I'm liking that there is uncertainty with the direction of multiple SummerSlam matches like the World Heavyweight Championship match and the WWE Women's title match. Good, it's better when everything is not so predictable. That's a good thing. Jeremy Rose, give me Seth in a wheelchair a la Bret Hart, whether it's real or not. Eventually he gets out of the chair and cashes in, as we all wonder when. Yeah, wheelchair Seth, I'm down for that. Let's get wheelchair Seth. Linkmaster, hey yo, he says. Achilles heel, hi Solomonster, been listening since 2017. From Sydney, going to New York, first time next year for the World Cup. As a local, do you have any recommendations for New York City? I don't know where specifically you're going to be staying. I could tell you the obvious ones, which in like Manhattan would be Central Park, the Empire State Building. I mean, I can give you some suggestions like that. Yeah, there's an elevated, it's really an elevated park, and it runs quite a few blocks called the High Line. Should look that up. Look up the High Line in New York City. I think that's the sort of thing, if you walk the High Line, that could be a fun thing to do. But, I mean, beyond that, I mean, a lot of it really depends on where you're going to be staying. And I'm not necessarily familiar with every single area, but I think those are some good things that you should try if you've never been here before. Jeremy Rose says, not a coincidence, Heyman called Bron the next big thing. Brock and Bron is imminent. No, it's not. It's really not. We have got paid. Man, these handles. YouTube needs to fix this shit. These handles are killing me. Paid.aj313. A member for 1 month, appreciating everything Solo, and I'm glad I'm here. I absolutely love your idea of Seth's fake injury, only to show up at SummerSlam. I mean, look, if they're looking for a way to differentiate his cash-in from the usual Money in the Bank cash-in and try to kind of give people a jolt and a shock, right, at SummerSlam, and try something that will get people talking in the same way they talked when he cashed in the first time, all those many years ago. That's how you do it. You go all the way with this these next few weeks and really convince people that this man is hurt. And then when CM Punk is on the verge of victory, you hear burn it down, and out he comes. And boy, his knee looks awfully good because he's running down to the ring with a referee. Or maybe he's not running. Maybe he's taking his time. But either way, I think that would certainly shock a lot of people. And continue that story where he fulfills his promise to make sure that CM Punk is never again a World Heavyweight Champion. Linkmaster says, let's do another Money in the Bank ladder match. On TV, though. Nah, you gotta save that for a PLE. I don't want commercials during Money in the Bank. I don't want commercial breaks during my Money in the Bank match. Thank you very much. Joseph Kiss Sr. Evolution was great, best PLE of 2025, but I do find it troubling how many fans are still so deeply misogynistic when it comes to women in wrestling. There will always be a segment of the fan base that's like that. I mean, you're never going to get rid of that. But on social media, they do tend to show themselves. It's very easy to ignore. Anthony Dominic should cross-turn babyface. I think he should. Elijah. Again, I read your message earlier. I appreciate the love. I know we both do. Thank you for the support. And I'll see you tomorrow night on TNT, episode 103. Project Libertad, EO's shorts. That is all. Yes, EO Sky was out there tonight in street clothes, and she was wearing, I believe, jean shorts when she came out. I didn't mention that, but apparently Project Libertad, it's the first thing he noticed when she came out. The Big Fundamental, Tim Duncan with a $5 super chat. Fun fact, did you know that the first suburb was built in Long Island, New York? See, that's how I know you're not a Long Islander. It was built on Long Island. Levittown was the first American suburb made in 1947. I did not know that, but now I do. Jeremy Rose. Punk getting shots at each world title on 2 straight PLEs and losing both times seems weird to me. but I also can't see Gunther losing the belt already, so I agree something else is up. Oh, I think he might lose the belt, just not to CM Punk. And actually, if you do it that way, then Rollins could pin Punk and you could spare Gunther the loss. He doesn't even have to get pinned to lose that championship. The only problem is then if you actually do, if this Rollins thing is all just a big put on and he cashes in and wins the World Heavyweight title, I don't know what you do with Gunther. What do you do with Gunther? Where does he go next? Duff's Vids. Why do Grizzlies pack light? They only bring the bare necessities. Bare necessity. Only what they need. It's a very good point. Arabian Night 2000. What does LA Knight do at SummerSlam? It would have made more sense for Knight and Roman as a tag team since Knight pinned Seth. Well, maybe Seth is really hurt and Knight was not really ever supposed to win that match. It says, is Knight off the card, do you think? LA Knight does not seemingly have a spot on the SummerSlam card right now. I don't know what they're going to do with him. We got Angel Alaga. Despite the best efforts of WWE not to fully support the ladies, Revolution was a tremendous PLE. It was. And so was Evolution. Revolution and Evolution were both very good shows. It almost felt like Triple H took that criticism personally that he got for not putting the full promotional muscle behind Evolution heading into this show. So, we got that great show last night, which, had less to do with him and more to do with the women going out there and having great matches. But then again, the first 75, 80 minutes of the show tonight was all women. It's almost like his way of like, all right, will you shut up now? Corey King says Knight against Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed is probably going to be in a tag team match against Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. So that's not going to happen. LA Knight and Bronson Reed, that's a Raw match. That's not a SummerSlam match. George, channel member for 10 months. Number one Homo sapien here. What's the best time to go to the dentist? Tooth hurty. 2:30. 2:30.
You suck.
No, George doesn't suck. Don't say that. George is awesome. Thank you, Homo sapien. Arabian Night. I don't like the idea of Roman versus Seth at WrestleMania, especially if Seth is the champion. And with the idea that Sammy wins the Royal Rumble, he's the one who should face Rollins, in my opinion. I agree. I mean, that would be a great story to have Sammy win the Rumble and have to beat Seth. I'm just saying, though, they may see Roman and Seth one-on-one as a WrestleMania match in the future. And not want to just rush into it at SummerSlam. Because, Roman only first came back now, and he may not even be on TV every week between now and then. So it'll be like the John Cena thing with Cody Rhodes heading into WrestleMania. Like, how many weeks of actual promotion would they be able to get at this point to build to a Roman and Seth singles match? Prince Vegeta, buy, sell, rent, and throw in the trash these Steve Austin dream matches based on box office and your own personal interest. Austin Hogan, Austin Punk, Austin Lesnar, Austin Goldberg. I actually think out of all of those matches, like at the peak of like their popularity, I guess, Austin and Lesnar would have probably... I think that would have had the least box office potential of all the matches that you've listed here. which is an odd thing to say just because Lesnar was more of a mainstream star than some of these guys were. But, I mean, if we just go by like my own personal interest, I would go Austin Punk first, because Austin Punk in 2013, when they were promoting the video game, like, I was ready to see that match. And I really thought like they were teasing it because they were really building to it, and then we never got it. I'd go Austin Punk, Austin Hogan. I mean, box office wise, Austin Hogan probably would have been it, but Punk, then Hogan, then Lesnar, and then Goldberg. I don't think Austin Goldberg would have meshed well. I think that would have been a bad match. Austin and Hogan might not have been a great match either, but they wouldn't have had to do much. I mean, they could just stare at each other and stare at the crowd, like what Hogan did with Rock. Duff's Vids, how do you tell the difference between a bull and a dairy cow? It's either one or the other. That's where that joke is going. Jeremy Dyer, WWE shop is selling Roman Reigns title belts with his face on it. I swear to God, these people, they'll sell anything. They will sell anything. His face on it? And how much is that belt going for that has his face on it? See, now I have to check this now. I need to know. Let us see. Oh, God, here it is. The Tribal Chief title belt. Look at this thing. This thing is ugly as sin. $600. This is $600. Let me see if I could show you guys. Let me see if I could do this. $600 for this thing. Let me see if I can get this up on screen for you. Let's see. No, it's not going to let me. What kind of file is that? It's not even a JPEG. Oh. $600 for a belt with Roman Reigns' face on it. That's not inclusive, by the way, of taxes or shipping and handling. So the actual belt, it would probably cost you close to $650 if you wanted to bring the Roman belt home. All right, here, I'm gonna save it here. Here we go. But maybe I'm in the minority here. Maybe you guys think that this belt is worth $650. Let's see. Yeah, Andre, I'm using OBS. Here, it's right here. Here it is. There it is. The Roman Reigns Tribal Chief Championship belt. What an odd shape for a belt. It's got his face on it. It says Undisputed and then Tribal Chief. Would you pay $650 for this? I'm sure a lot of people will. As a bit of a belt snob, I'm no fan of this. It is a weird shape, isn't it? Green shirt guy bought 19 of them. If that was small enough, it looks like something that maybe would go around my wrist. Not around my waist. All right, let's get rid of that. It was ugly as sin. Bobby Means with a $5 super chat. Honestly, I don't think Jade should win the title at SummerSlam, but I could see her possibly winning the Rumble They need to build her up, though. Yeah, I'm a little torn. I don't know. It's not a slam dunk that she's going to win the championship. I just feel like Bianca's going to be involved in this in some way. They just had her as a referee. I don't see her being a referee again. So what role is she going to play? Maybe. You saw that look that they gave each other when she raised Jade's hand at the end of the match with Naomi last night. Jeremy Rose says, I think Rhea is more like Undertaker, as in she doesn't need the belt to be over. Wins the belt once in a while as storylines dictate. Yeah, I mean, that's a sensible thing. Death Scythe says, I wasn't hating on Rhea. I think she's cool as hell, and I would like to see Rhea against Vicaire in Perth. I would like to see Rhea and Stephanie on any show. Whether it's Perth or WrestleMania or whatever event they see fit. I just would love to see the match. Gold Matthew. Since I got back to wrestling in 2022, I think All In 2025 is the best show that I've seen. It's either that, WrestleMania 39, which is the first solo stream I saw, or Elimination Chamber 2025. I was there. WrestleMania 39 was a great show. But so is All In this weekend. Death Side says Seth has gone to find his smile. The Mount Vernon Kid, channel member for 38 months. Tiffany should work heel in her SummerSlam match, in my opinion. She still hasn't convinced me that she's a babyface. Yeah, she's very heelish. Even last night, I was getting a heelish vibe from her. I don't know. There's nothing about her to me that screams babyface. Also, do you miss Dragunov as much as I do? Probably not, because you were thinking about him. I wasn't. I completely forgot about him, but I hope we get him back on TV soon. I think he's great. And Death Scythe, they want to know why you're not in the chat. You gotta join in on the convo in the chat. Gold Matthew says, agree or disagree? Men's Casino. Are we doing stars here? 3.5 stars. Young Bucks match, 4 stars. Women's Casino, 4 stars. Mercedes and Storm, 4.5. Okada and Omega, 4. Hangman and Mox, 5. I think you went a little high on that Women's Casino. I would not go 4 stars on that. The other ones sound about right. Ace Italiano. If Seth is hurt or not, I think Ricky Saints makes his main roster debut at SummerSlam and joins Seth and Heyman's group. Could be. I don't see it necessarily happening at SummerSlam, but yeah, there's been chatter that maybe he could be added to the group. I still feel like, I'll say what I said before, I just don't think it's necessary. I really don't. Isaac, first OTC, now OTC 1. I can't wait for OTC 2 next year. The sequel is rarely better than the original. Aaron, do you see Roxanne winning a world title in the next year? Maybe she beats Lyra before WrestleMania and it's her versus Liv for the Intercontinental Championship. IC title, yes. World title, no. You said world title. World title is not an IC title. Jungle Batman. Buy or sell Rock, This Is Your Life, or Test and Stephanie's Wedding, which revealed Triple H marrying Stephanie in a drive-thru wedding. I'm going to buy on Rock, This Is Your Life. Jungle Batman also says, why did we not get an actual Sting versus Goldberg feud in WCW? Because for the most part, they were just two of the biggest baby faces in the company. I know they both went heel at different times, but two of the top baby faces, and it just didn't make sense to feud them. Made more sense to feud them with actual heels. Arabian Knight, do you think Triple H is a quote-unquote fan of LA Knight? Suspect booking, he says. I don't think he's necessarily his biggest fan. I think he likes the guy and respects the guy. He helped the guy get his name back after Vince took it away from him. So it's not like he buried him by keeping him as Max Dupree, which would have been a fate far worse than death for that character. I don't get the impression that he's necessarily the biggest LA Knight fan. Duff's Vids, who cooks in a lesbian relationship? Neither. They both eat out, he says. My goodness, Solomonster After Dark here. They both eat out. Jungle Batman, do you think Goldberg beating Hogan was the greatest moment in WCW history? Probably. It was the peak. The Monday Night War period is when they were the most financially successful. And they had the biggest audience. And that was the biggest moment of that era. So by default, I would say yes. It wasn't the best match, but it was the biggest moment in WCW history. The most important moment in WCW history, that's different. Scott Hall showing up on Nitro, right? Far more influential of a moment. But that's not what you're asking. We got Chico Channel 7702. I am so Jay Uso'd out. Respectfully, Falk Jay Uso. You know, the New York Mets are having WWE night, I think next weekend. And they have a Mr. Met bobblehead that is in the image of Jay Uso. So he's got shades on that say Yeet. It's basically the Yeet version of Mr. Met is coming to Citi Field next weekend. Jungle Batman, why did they turn Sting and Goldberg heel in WCW? Because they were fucking idiots running that company, that's why. Death Scythe, will you review the Crystal Lake TV show? I'd like to check it out. I don't know if I'll review it, but whenever it actually premieres, I'd like to at least check out the first episode. If I like it, I might. Hey, Jake, thank you for the sub. Jake Holden is with us. Duff's Vids. How did Burger King get Dairy Queen pregnant? He forgot to wrap his Whopper. Is that where those lesbians eat out that you were talking about before? Do they eat out at Burger King? Thank you, Duffs. And we got Jersey Authentico. OTC 1. New York Mets 0. Hey, you know what? I like that one. And very believable, too. Especially, with the Mets losing there. No, I heel on the Mets. I mean, when you really look at it on the whole, they had a pretty good first half, but just that horrendous losing streak they went on. They could have had so much more momentum, so many more wins in the win column. I want them to go 162-0 every single year. So it bugs me when they shoot themselves in the foot like that. Could CM Punk and Gunther have a double turn at SummerSlam? No. I could see Gunther as a babyface at some point in the not too distant future, but CM Punk is not going heel. Let's be the booker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the booker.
We have one solid round of Be the Booker tonight. We're going to try to make the most of it. See what we can do. Tag team Be the Booker is our first round here of the evening, and we are going to begin. Well, how about this? We are going to see this team again in a couple of months. Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. Edge and Christian. Kicking us off here in Be the Booker. Edge and Christian are going to take on Alpha Academy, Chad Gable and Otis. Be a fine wrestling match there between those two teams. Get Chad Gable doing some wrestling in there with Christian. That's a fine tag team match. On the women's side, we have Gail Kim, former Impact Knockouts champion, WWE Women's Champion. Spotted at the Performance Center recently. I don't know if she's got an official role in WWE or not, but I know she was spotted there. Gail Kim is... Oh, wait. Mina and Mariah want to make this a three-way match. So we're having ourselves a triple threat match here. So should we just start over then and just book 3 women? Should we do that? We got to pick 3. Mina and Mariah. One day, perhaps they will be reunited again. We have Nia Jax. It's up to you guys. Do you think we should keep Gail Kim and pick 2 more, or do we just do all 3 and just start over again? Keep Gail. All right, we'll keep Gail. Gail Kim, Nia Jax. We need 1 more. I can hear the growling in my ear. It is Angry Beth Phoenix. Gail Kim, Nia Jax, and Beth Phoenix in a triple threat match. There's a lot of talent in that match. Who said automatic buzzer? Automatic buzzer. Kratos, why is that an automatic buzzer? What's the matter with you? One more match. We begin with Samoa Joe, the former AEW World Heavyweight Champion, currently 1/3 of the Trios Champions. He was murdered the other night at All In. Samoa Joe, he got his neck broken. Samoa Joe against Ron Killings in our main event. And Samoa Joe in the main event, it would take a lot. It would take like a really horrible opponent for me to give a Samoa Joe main event the buzzer. So we got a clean sweep. We only had the 1 round tonight, but at least we were able to pull off the clean sweep. It doesn't happen all the time, but we got it tonight, so should all be very happy about that. Squash match? I wouldn't say that's a squash match. Jungle Batman, why did Mick Foley turn heel on the next Raw after he was attacked by DX and the New Age Outlaws joined DX? Why did Foley turn heel on the next Raw after he was attacked by DX and the New Age? Oh, that was, okay. No, because they needed an opponent for Steve Austin. Right. He came out, he interrupted the Austin McMahon match tease. Right. Was that April 14th, 1998? Was that the date of that show? I remember that night. I remember watching the show that night. I remember Jim Ross on commentary freaking out at the prospect of Vince McMahon getting into a match, an actual match with Steve Austin. He's like, I got a mortgage to pay. Like, he was really selling it on commentary. But yeah, he turned heel because they wanted him to be the first program for Austin. He was a great person for Austin to work with and beat. Got 2 pay-per-view matches out of it. That Over the Edge match was great. Duff's Vids, what does an escalator say when it stops working? Nothing. It just stares. You walk upstairs, but here it says STARES. Thank you, Duffs. That's right. I just bought a house. I got a mortgage to pay. Jungle Batman, were you a fan of Macho Man changing his look when he came back to WCW in 1999? No, I was not. I was not a fan of late stage WCW Randy Savage. He came across to me like a guy having a midlife crisis. He got bigger than I have ever seen him. When I say bigger, I don't mean fat. I mean, he put on so much muscle. He could barely move. His knees were shot. Yeah, he was coming out with all these different women, and he had Gorgeous George and Ms. Madness, who was Molly Holly. I wasn't a fan of what he was doing, at the very end there in WCW. Like, that wasn't the Macho Man that I became a fan of. And physically in the ring, his best days were far behind him. So it was actually I thought it was kind of sad. Yeah, the Bonesaw. That was the Bonesaw McGraw phase of his career. I don't recognize that guy. Like, that's not the Randy Savage that I was a fan of. But I'm telling you, he was going through a midlife crisis. Thank you guys for the fun stream tonight. Good episode of Raw. Set the stage for some big matches coming up at SummerSlam that we will be talking about here in the weeks to come. And we'll find out if we get any further update on the Seth Rollins situation. But I told you where my head is at on that now. Let me know if you agree. I'm going to be live with you back here on the channel Wednesday night for the Dynamite post show. A big Dynamite because it's the first Dynamite coming out of All In. So it feels like a bit of a reset. Hangman now is the champion, and we'll see what the direction is going to be for him as we go into Forbidden Door, which is their next big show coming up on the 24th next month. And then Friday night for SmackDown. Unlike last week, I will be here this week. But tomorrow night, I will be over on JD's channel for Tuesday Night Titans. And obviously, we have much to discuss after this weekend that we just had. Jungle Batman says, I'm hearing rumors that Chris Jericho could be done with AEW. We almost made it the entire night with Nikki, but not Brie. But Eminem made sure that was not the case. Jungle Batman, yes, that's all it is right now, are rumors. There's no definitive word one way or the other what is going on with Jericho's contractual situation. I don't know. I don't know. Eminem with the 25. Glad we didn't Brie at Evolution, but we got her here. I haven't had a chance to mention, but congrats to you and JD on 100 episodes of TNT. Thank you. Who main events night 1 of SummerSlam? Naomi against Ripley against Io or Gunther against Punk? Gunther against Punk. Gunther against Punk is your night 1 main event. Cena and Cody is your night 2 main event. Thank you guys. Be well. Stay safe. Do me a favor. Go back and check out episode 920 of The Sound Off. In all the madness of this weekend, there was a 2-hour podcast yesterday that dropped. Talking WWE, AEW, and even a little bit of TNA. Go check out that podcast. Leave a review. 5 stars. That would be nice. And I'll see you back here on this channel Wednesday night for the Dynamite post show coming out of All In Texas. Until then, take care, guys. Oh, wait, we got one more. Hold on. Jungle Batman, he's not done yet. Jungle Batman has one last super chat here. I'm also hearing that Jack Perry could be done with AEW as well. Where are you hearing these things? Is there a voice inside the Batman's head that is telling you these things? I figured he might be done with the company just because he hasn't been on television in about 6 months. But I don't know where you're reading all of this. And Luis says, NBC hates Bill Goldberg more than I do. Much respect for both Goldberg and Gunther. Hey, I could sit here and admit that Goldberg, he did well on Saturday. They had a decent match. Can't hate on that. I thought it could be a disaster. Especially with him talking about all the injuries he had coming into the show with all of his training. But I give the man his flowers. You know, he went out the way that he wanted to go out. He didn't embarrass himself. Didn't hurt himself or anybody else. It went as good as you could possibly ask for. And now it's over. And so is this stream. I'll see you guys later.